The Book of True Life, Teaching 37 of 366. The Master teaches, nourish yourselves with truth only and reject everything else. Divine Revelations, Mexico, from 1866 to 1950. The Lord says, men of great spiritual enlightenment have existed among humanity in all times. Men who have come to illuminate the path of development for their fellow beings. Whence have these beings come from? Did they perhaps come from the neighboring spiritual world, where those who are to return to this planet now reside? No, my people. I say to you that through the knowledge and the kindness of these beings, you will be able to tell which world they have come from. The steps of spiritual elevation form an infinite ladder in eternity, but that journey towards perfection consists of 7 phases, which are reflected in human life. Man's life on Earth is divided into 7 developmental steps as well. All parts of man must unfold and develop in order for him to attain the enlightenment necessary to achieve true spirituality. His material body, his mind, his morals, his spirit, and his entire being must pass through these 7 great lessons. Following those 7 trials, he will emerge purified, filled with light, serenity, strength, knowledge, and experience. Then he will be able to understand that the kingdom of God is present in his spirit. Obedience to the divine will, sensibility to be able to interpret spiritual inspiration, and communion with the Father, as well as the spiritual world, through thoughts, are the advances in your development which the new time holds in store for you. Humanity has already experienced periods in which it lived only for material pleasure, periods in which it sought power, dominance, and worldly riches, periods when it developed a few senses by seeking beauty in all that surrounded it, periods when it treaded the path of religion, seeking peace for the spirit, and yet others in which it wanted to make of this earth its kingdom, of this life its eternity, and of matter its God. This is a critical period for the life of man. If you observe carefully, you will discover that in all aspects of life, in all elements and forces, there is a gigantic struggle occurring, a great battle. It is the end of a period, humanity, but you do not know at what point a new period will begin. Only I will be able to reveal that to you, for I am the Lamb who breaks open the seals. You still live in the time of the 6th revelation, in which events are occurring that are fulfilling the prophecies. How many religions, sects, and doctrines will fall by the sword of the light of my truth? How many sciences and theories will fade into obscurity when the new day dawns? At that point, men will attain spirituality. They will practice true prayer, and stillness and peace will settle in their hearts. It will not be the religions that unite, for their differences do not allow them to do so. It will be men who unite in the law of love, justice, and truth, which proceeds from God alone. This humanity, which is indifferent to all divine inspiration, is not aware that it will soon enter the most important time for its spirit. But it will soon awaken from its deep slumber, as it ponders the predictions that are yet to come, concerning my presence among men. For all of you will have to be awake when the 7th seal opens, to bring you its light. In the meantime, I am preparing this multitude with my word, so it may arise, inspired in the truth, educating its brothers in the lessons of love of my doctrine. Nourish yourselves only with the truth, and reject everything that does not contain purity. With this you will bear children of light. Allow the children to behold spiritual elevation in you, so that they may have a safe path to follow in this life. Watch over all the children whom you are able to offer your love and tenderness. With this, you will have done good with them. Teach love to all of humanity with your deeds. I will look after those whom you cannot watch over, and I will not allow the bad seed sown by men of this time to contaminate or confuse those spirits. I am the one who sends spirits to incarnate, according to the law of development. And truly, I say to you, the influences of this world will not make me deviate from my divine plans, for my will shall be fulfilled, in spite of man's ambition for power. Every human being brings a mission to the earth. His destiny is outlined by the Father, and his spirit anointed by my fatherly love. In vain men perform ceremonies and anoint the little children. Truly, I say to you, that at no particular age will water be the thing to purify the spirit of its shortcomings to my law. And if I send the spirit free of all sin, from what blemishes would the ministers of denominations cleanse it with baptism? It is time for you to understand that the origin of man is not a sin, but that his birth is the result of the fulfillment of a natural law, a law that not only man fulfills, but all creatures that comprise nature. Notice that I specified man and not his spirit. Man has my power to create beings similar to himself, but spirits only emerge from me. To grow and multiply is a universal law. In the same manner that stars arose from other larger stars, so that the human seed multiply on earth. And never have I said that in so doing mankind has sinned or offended the Creator. Why would you be judged as sinners after fulfilling the divine mandate? Be aware that man can never stain himself by fulfilling my law. What does stain man and separates the spirit from the path of development are his low passions, immorality, vice, and lust, for all of them go against the law. Study and analyze until you find the truth. Then you will cease to call the mandate of the Creator of life sinful. You will bless the existence of your children with the example of your good deeds. When you recall that I have told you that I come from the infinite, your hearts sigh sadly by the thought of the distance that separates you from your Father. Then you make a great effort to elevate your thoughts and spirit towards me, in order to reach that divine sight where you believe that I dwell. Sometimes you are satisfied with your prayers, but there are occasions when you are not at peace. For you have been left with the impression that you did not succeed in reaching the place where the Divine Spirit dwells. Listen, disciples. You will never be able to even imagine that infinity of which I tell you. That infinity refers to God's tenderness, light, purity, wisdom, love, and perfection. For those things have no beginning or end, since they are attributes of God. Now, with that in mind, I want you to understand when I tell you that it is my love that was made man, and it was my tenderness that was made woman. I do not have a specific or limited home within the infinite in which I dwell, for I am present everywhere. I am present in all material, spiritual, and divine things. You cannot point to the direction of my kingdom. When you look up to the sky, pointing towards the heavens, do so only symbolically, for your planet turns without ceasing, and in each movement it presents new skies and heights to you. With all that, I want to say to you that there is no distance between us at all. The only things that separate you from me are your bad and impure deeds, which you yourselves place between your spirit and my perfect law. The greater your purity, the more elevated will be your deeds. The more constant your faith, the closer, more intimate, and more accessible to your prayers you will feel me. In that same manner, when you separate yourselves from that which is good, just, and righteous, and continue to live a dark life filled with materialism and selfishness, you will inevitably feel me more and more distant from you. The more you separate yourselves from fulfilling and obeying my law, the less you will be able to feel my divine presence. Understand why I have come at this time, to manifest my word in this form, and to prepare you for the communication of spirit to spirit. Believing that I am very distant from you, you did not know how to come to me. I have sought you in order to have you feel my divine presence, and to show you that between the Father and his children, there is no distance to separate them. I have manifested myself through human spokesmen during this era, thus decreasing that spiritual distance which separated you from me. This has been a gift from the Father to his children, and yet more proof of his mercy, considering man's immaturity and lack of spirituality. For that reason, this time of grace, in which I have communicated through human spokesmen, will be brief, for it is not a gift you have achieved through your own merits and spirituality. Thus, it is not something that you have earned. I repeat that it is a grace which I have granted you, and that once the year 1950 comes to an end, I will cease this form of communication, in the hope that, with your merits, you will once again feel my presence, as you communicate with me from spirit to spirit. This new communication will be truly spiritual, simple, natural, pure, and perfect. It will signal the beginning of the end of every imperfect, idolatrous, fanatical, and dark cult, and it will open the sanctuary of your very being, so that my spirit may dwell in it for all eternity. There will be no exterior ecstasy, infatuation, or any type of splendor. There will only be purity, respect, and truth, reflecting true spirituality. Think of all the wonderful things that the fulfillment of this promise means to you. Prepare yourselves to earn merits, so that, with them, you may finally attain that grace which I have in store for you, and which will form a part of your very life. Unlike this manifestation, which will end in 1950, that new form of divine communication will be eternal. Then you will truly understand what it means to have the kingdom of heaven descend upon humanity. Now I say to you, work on earth, but do it with faith, with true love towards your brothers, and you will not lack strength and motivation. If the birds, which do not work or sow, never lack shelter or food, why would my beloved children be without my provision? You will only perish from hunger or cold if your evilness and ingratitude force you to reject my blessings. I am life, warmth and light. I am bread and crystalline water, and I have come once again to resurrect the dead and to awaken those who live in darkness to a life of light. A long time ago, it was prophesied that every eye shall see me, and I am present and willing to allow my truth to be seen by humanity. What do men lack which prohibits them to see me, to feel me, and to understand me? They lack spirituality. Spirituality enables man to become sensitive, both physically and spiritually. When he has become purified, and a true prayer emerges from his heart towards me, then he will feel my presence for the first time. He will perceive my tenderness. He will feel himself bathed in my infinite love. He will exclaim, "I have seen the Lord, and I have felt him within my heart." If I could find a virtuous man on earth, I would use him as an instrument to give you teachings and examples. But truly, I say to you, that I have not found a single virtuous individual among humanity. Where are the virtuous individuals of the first and second eras, so that you might analyze their virtue, their loyalty, their faith, their strength, and their dedication to fulfilling my law? They live in the spirit realm, and although they work for you, you neither see nor feel them, because your materialism is still the veil that prevents you from perceiving the spiritual. You are like castaways, whipped by the wild waves of passions, enveloped in the shadows of a long night. In the midst of this storm I have appeared, and my helping love has been like a lighthouse, illuminating the way that leads you to the harbor of salvation. Do you perhaps believe that I come to give your spirits the gift of being able to see beyond this material life? No, my people. I do not come to grant you a new gift or a new attribute. You have had all of your gifts since the beginning. But you must understand that only the gifts which you have developed and utilized have manifested in your being. On the other hand, the gifts which you have forgotten, neglected, or ignored have remained hidden. Because that which I have given, even if it may be dormant, I never take away. Many hidden powers have remained dormant in your being, waiting for my voice to awaken them. But the time of resurrection has already come, in which we will all heed the same voice, the voice which Lazarus heard beyond this life, when I told him, "Rise up and walk." Blessed is he who knows how to wait for my coming, for his awakening will be complete, and his spirituality will allow him to see all that is contained in my new message. Work with love, both in your material and spiritual life, for then you will have my peace. Learn to persevere until you succeed in gathering the fruit of your sacrifices and struggles. Love, so that you may develop spiritually. For I ask you, humanity, what have you done with your spirit? And I ask the spirits, what have you done with the material body I have entrusted to you? Neither of you can answer me, because truly, you are far from being aware of the seriousness of your faults and weaknesses. Only I can judge your deeds, and for that reason I send you this ray of light, so that, enlightened by your conscience, you might see yourselves in the mirror of the divine truth. Have you forgotten that your spirits are subject to the law of development, which you should not attempt to neglect? What became of the original essence I deposited in your hearts, which is the seed of love, of life and elevation? You no longer understand these words, for it seems to you that I am speaking in a language that you are not familiar with. Love was the reason for your creation. Love your father, and through him all of your brothers. That is the law you have forgotten and erased from your spirit. At every turn, life makes you feel and pay for your transgressions with haunting pain. But instead of pausing to reflect and reconsider your actions, you allow your heart to harden and poison itself even more. You have not wanted to listen to the voices that have approached you to put a stop to your madcap course of life, because you have reached the edge of the abyss, and you are about to plunge in, even taking your brothers with you. Who among you can imagine what the bottom of that abyss is like? This abyss which you have created with your intense hatred and depravity. No one can imagine the darkness and pain that has accumulated in this unfathomable cup of bitterness throughout the centuries, millennia, and eons. I ask the men of this era, who consider themselves the most advanced beings in all of history. Even with all of your abilities, have you not found a way of attaining peace, or of achieving power and wealth, without killing your brethren, destroying them, or enslaving them? Do you believe that your advancement is true and real, even though you live in sin, vice, and spiritual darkness? I am not combating science, since I myself have inspired it in man. However, what I do disapprove of is the manner in which man has utilized science on occasion. I want you to be great in understanding and wise in the teachings I have surrounded you with, but always have your conscience as a beacon in all your steps of life. Then you will not only see the faculties of your spirit unfold, but you will also experience health and strength entering your body. Remember what I told you. Man does not live by bread alone, but by each and every one of God's words. I want you to realize that there exists something in your beings which you cannot satisfy solely with what you possess in this world. In order to satisfy it, you must seek that which exists beyond the material world. That is to say, you must seek that which dwells in the kingdom of perfection, the origin of all spirits, God. You have not lacked my light for a single moment, yet you are like cold tombstones covering the graves, which warm up for a few moments but immediately cool down again. My power and patience are infinite, and if you want me to offer you more evidence of my love when you stand at the edge of the abyss, I will grant it to you. But I must tell you that in this infinite love, which I am now demonstrating to you once more, my wise and inexorable justice will be present. You must trust me in order for me to help you, but be alert and prepared for the battle. Be warriors, but not those who destroy the life of your fellow men, but rather those who build with love, morality, peace, and good deeds. Do not allow necessities or burdens to make you return to materialism. On the contrary, rise up with spirituality in the face of temptations and trials. Truly, I say to you, if you know how to take advantage of these trials and vicissitudes of life, through them you can elevate yourselves to a superior life, becoming strong, noble, devoted, and loving disciples of your Father. I tell the men and women who present themselves before my teaching as the heads of families, brace yourselves with strength, light, and peace, for great events will soon occur on earth, and you need to be prepared at your spots. Always seek that which will honor and strengthen your children, and remove the errors which could cause them to stumble from their paths. I have not forgotten the promises you made to me, to separate yourselves from materialism, in order to return to the spiritual path, where you will be guided by the law of love and mercy, illuminated by the light of your conscience. Once you are walking firmly along that path, you will need to forget about your own needs, so you can focus on the needs of your brethren. Then you will realize that many of those whom you had previously encountered along your path and treated with indifference were indeed enduring pain, bitterness, and carrying a heavy cross. How many individuals there are who carry great sorrow in their hearts, but weep silently. How many sorrows are hidden behind a smile, which you do not know how to interpret. But I, who feel each sorrow and each pain, who knows what each human heart feels, say to you, prepare yourselves, so you may develop intuition in order to read what is within your brothers, for they will not always open their hearts to reveal their hidden pain. For those hidden sorrows, for that inner weeping, for that sadness which does not show on the face of those who suffer, it is necessary to enter the human heart, and that can only be achieved through spirituality, and brotherly love is the key to make it blossom. Oh, if you only knew that there is much that you can give and do, even if you live in poverty. But you are still so materialized that many of you believe that you can only perform good deeds with money. That is why I had to come to tell you that it is not right for you to continue to weep from pain, hunger, and misery, unaware that you are burdened by the weight of a treasure you carry within you. No, people, it is not only the burden of your sins that weighs you down. It is also the case that your body, which is continuously weakened by the low passions and struggles of this life, is unable to resist the strength and power of its own spirit, which is battling to liberate its material body from its weaknesses. Remember the night I was born on earth as man. Although it was cold and dark, it was not as cold and dark as in the human heart during this era. That night, my spirit was filled with joy, because I had come to live among humanity. However, humanity was asleep in a deep slumber, insensitive to my presence, and it ignored the arrival of the Promised One. That is where my Calvary began. Straw, which served as a cradle for the newborn, and the warmth of the undemanding animals were the only things available to that family at the moment of my arrival. You believe that nature is insensitive to the divine manifestations, but that is a human misconception, because apart from humans, All other created things, from the greatest to the smallest, are subject to my law, from which they cannot depart. Only man remains insensitive to my divinity, for he possesses a spirit, a conscience, and a free will. Why have you hardened your heart to such a degree that you do not feel your Father's presence, nor hear his voice? Because of your free will. This time I did not come as a man, and yet I still felt the coldness of the loveless heart with which humanity received me. Do not think that this location on earth, where I am presently manifesting myself, is the only place where I am presenting myself to my children. For truly I say to you that my manifestation is universal in various forms. Elijah, who manifested himself to you prior to my manifestation through human spokesmen, did not come only to this country where you live. He went from one place to another, all around the earth, announcing the arrival of a new era, informing humanity that the kingdom of heaven would soon descend upon the world. Voices appeared from all around, announcing my arrival to you. Nature, in turmoil, shook the earth. Science was amazed before new revelations. The spiritual valley descended upon men, and in spite of all that, humanity remained deaf to those voices, the heralds of a new era. Although an abundance of divine light descended upon men to eliminate their darkness, they remained selfish and materialistic, not interested in seeking spiritual perfection or the moral improvement of their life on earth. Instead, they used that light to construct thrones and glories, conveniences and material pleasures. And if the need arose, they even used it to create weapons and destroy the lives of their fellow men. Their eyes were blinded by the intensity of my light, and their vanity has led them astray. But I say to you that through that same light, they will find the truth. They will discover the right path and save themselves. Those who have known how to truly receive this light as a divine message have allowed their consciences to guide their steps and deeds, for they sensed that the Lord has returned and dwells among men. The representatives of the various sects and religions did not want to receive me. Their hearts, their dignity, and their false grandeur keep them from accepting me in spirit. For that reason, groups have formed all over the earth, brotherhoods and congregations consisting of individuals who feel the presence of the new era, who seek the solitude to pray and to receive the inspirations of the Lord. You, my children, belong to those multitudes which have been forming beneath the light of a divine inspiration, although I must tell you that you have received these teachings through divine grace. For that reason, you must be alert. You must pray and meditate much, so that you do not fall into confusion and miss the point of this spiritual doctrine. What could lead you astray on this path? Vanity, my people. Truly, I say to you, that this inspiration will triumph among the humble, the merciful, and those who yearn for truth, justice, and peace. The peace and strength you attain in prayer will make you perseverant and untiring, sowing goodness, raising up those who have fallen, igniting faith, and being a blessing and consolation among all the nations of the earth. My peace be with you.